you all. So I'm going to be upfront about a lot of things tonight. One, I was raised by a single mom, and I saw power every day of my life. Every day when she was working 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, making it work, making budget work, having discipline, because I was no angel. And I managed to graduate high school and go on to be successful with a career in college and all that good stuff. So when I say how proud I am that we have strong women running from state legislator to the governor, down to school board, as well as council members, I am super excited. Super excited. And when we talk about, and I'm going to talk about Mikey in a second, but we talk about elections, we have to talk about how we reach people. The most success I've had so far working for Mikey and other candidates is going to where they are. Knocking on Democrats' doors is great, and we have to do it. But we also have to be brave enough to go to the festivals and to the events and just talk to everybody. I've had only one person of all these events I've been going to, one person said, no, thank you, I don't want to talk to you. Everyone else, Republican, even MAGA, have engaged, and we've had good conversations. One, I'm very proud of this, we have one Republican who says, no, I like Donald Trump, I like the economy, I like the way things are going, and 10 minutes later he says, okay, you gave me a lot to think about. I want to do some research. And that was our defining moment. We were so excited, it's like we won the election. So, but the reality is, I'm encouraging you to add that to your arsenal of things to do. When you're out at the festivals and you're enjoying yourself, talk to people, hand out, take some literature, and hand it out and say, hey, do you know about these candidates? Do you know what in your respective legislative districts? And as far as town council, as far as school board, just talk to people about what our candidates stand for and what we want to accomplish. And I'm going to segue now right into Mikey Sherrill. You all know she's a phenomenal, highly qualified individual for this position. A congresswoman in a very tough district, and she's successful there because she has the ability to bring people together and to get things done. Mikey Sherrill is a Naval School graduate, Naval Academy graduate. Don't let this BS that you hear on television say otherwise. She did not cheat. Let me repeat that. She did not cheat. But these guys are so good at misinformation and throwing out little things to see what sticks at the wall, and people run away with it. Mikey Sherrill is an awesome candidate. But let me talk about Jack Ciccarelli for a second. Jack Ciccarelli told us who he is at that debate. He told us what he's going to do. He doesn't care about school segregation. He's just going to fix everybody's school so you won't care about it. That's called Plessy v. Ferguson. I know we have another attorney here. You remember that in law school, right? Plessy v. Ferguson was separate but equal. It never worked then, and it's not going to work now. Not to mention the social construct of having kids interact with other people that eventually, when they go into the workforce, they're going to have to. 1954, we had Brown v. Board of Education. Took us a long time to get that in place, all over the country. Everywhere it was a problem. Jack Ciccarelli wants to discard that and go back to a time where segregation was the norm. We have a phenomenal candidate in Mikey Sherrill. A phenomenal candidate, a military veteran, a congresswoman. I dare to say she's overqualified for governor. But she's willing to step out of where she was comfortable. She's willing to do the hard work, run up and down the state, hitting 21 counties. It's amazing. I am running around stumping for her, and I'm exhausted. So I can only imagine what her and Dale are going through. And I want you to be that source for her. You guys are the warriors. First of all, the majority of the room are women. And I know you're warriors because I was raised by one. You have the tools and to go out and get others. That's your mission. I'm preaching to the choir here. You have to go out and get the others. Meet them where they are. Knock on their doors, make the phone calls, send the postcards. Do what you can from where you are. But think outside the box. If you're going to a fall festival, put a few things in your pocket. So you can just walk up to somebody and we have this little scheme where one of my staffers will say to the person, "Hey, have you met Tim Alexander?" And then I get to come over and say, "Hey, do you know anything about Mikey Sherrill?" It works. I got to tell you, and you can't just stereotype people. Go hit those doors. Get the unaffiliate list. You're 100% correct. We have I look at things in a congressional district, so in CD2, where I'm primarily operating in, we have, unfortunately with the 2020 census, we had a shift where there's a few more Republicans now than it was Democrats. Before, it was always more Democrats than Republicans, but always more unaffiliates than either. So we're hitting the unaffiliates. Why leave them? They're pissed off with what's going on, and use Washington. I like to talk about state issues. I like to talk about, we had a conversation about the wind energy. I was a huge proponent of wind. And I agree with you that we have to do it responsibly and make sure we're preserving marine life. But I can tell you many of those wells that passed during that period were propeller strikes. And they're still dying. And no one's talking about that. Okay, so wind was killed and is successfully done by Jeff Andrew and Donald Trump. What does Donald Trump announce yesterday? Or was it Sunday? There's so much stuff. He said he's opening up from Florida to Maine, from Texas to Alaska, and the Arctic Circle for oil exploration off the coast. So I'll never forget people screaming at me about, hey, you're going to kill the boardwalk business with these wind turbines, which will be about 2 inches tall at the horizon. But oil rigs can't be out that far. So they're going to be in closer, and instead of seeing a wind turbine that's serene, if you've ever seen them, you're going to see an oil rig operating off the coast of New Jersey. Where is the outcry to that? Right? Because they're so deep in the pocket of the fossil fuel industry. You have ExxonMobil, who posted $30 billion last quarter in profits. 3 months, right? $30 billion in profits. They're doing a yeoman's job, and they got people like Trump. They'll have people like Jack Ciattarelli who will greenlight everything Trump says. He said, "I will never sue the president." I think it's silly and it's a waste of money. So this is why it's so important that we get Mikey over that line. And I want you to do the job of getting all these candidates over the line, and Mikey especially, because everybody matters. Everybody's important. This is the time. Listen. I was knocking on one door, and a guy said to me, "Well, all women ticket." He says, "Well, you know what? Women ought to be in charge." And I agree with him. He said, "Men's been screwing it up." Okay, so thank you all. You know what your charge is, what you have to do. We have to talk about our re-elections here, not next election, but I agree with you, Marianne. If it don't work, you can't walk away. So thank you.